Hi, it's Mike.
And this is Fran.
And this is Mike and Fran Unrehearsed, episode 15. Hey, how's everyone doing? Wow, 15, Mom. That's pretty good, huh?
Yes.
Fantastic. Hey, a lot going on, you guys. But as a reminder, you're listening to Mike and Fran Unrehearsed, real life internet radio on 216 The Net. And email your questions and comments to mikeandfranradio@gmail.com. And we will mention your name if you give us your name, and we could ask your question on the air. Okay? Hey, I want to remind you guys that while I'm not on the radio, I'm selling real estate at Keller Williams Success Realty out of Barrington. So please give me a call for any of your real estate needs at 847-903-8061. That's 847-903-8061. Yes, there are people buying and selling homes right now, but we're very careful. So if you need to do that, or you're just interested in seeing what the market would bear for your home right now, please give me a call. And as always, if you gotta go, call Joe the plumber. Joe the plumber offers free estimates, and he's available at 773-732-8153. So please text Mike and Fran to 773-732-8153 for Joe the plumber for a 10% discount and a free estimate. If you got to go, call Joe. All right. So, hey, Mom, what's going on for this week? A lot of things next week, huh? Well, there's Halloween coming up and the election, and we're going to touch on those things. But I wanted to say one thing that I did last week that I wanted to do for a very long time was to go to the McHenry Outdoor Theater. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We still have one drive-in theater available out here in northern Illinois, where they used to be all over the place. I remember spending a lot of time at 53 Drive-In as a teenager. I mean, where else are you going to go, right? I think I took all of our cars there at least one time. Ford Fairlane, station wagon, a Nova, I don't know. I don't think the Grand Prix worked out there because it had those bucket seats, you know. It's kind of hard to sit in those and watch a film. But anyway, we went and saw Beetlejuice last week. My Keller Williams office had a office party there. Of course, we're all in our cars, and it was like 2 people per car. And we saw Beetlejuice. You guys remember that? So whatever you do, don't say Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice 3 times, because then something terrible will happen, and Beetlejuice will show up. And it'll be just mayhem until you get rid of that guy. Anyway, I would definitely check out the drive-in one of these days. It's a lot of fun for the family and the kids. And actually, their last show is going to be on October 31st. It's at 1510 Chapel Hill Road in McHenry. If you just do a Google on McHenry Outdoor Theater, you'll find it. Cool? Okay. So let me know if you go to that last show. I think they're supposed to post it sometime this week, but he did tell me that that will be their last show for the year. Anyway, what else is going on? Oh, okay. So this Friday will also be the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. So I'm in a Hispanic chamber group called Hispanic Pro for my business, and this Friday, we're going to have a Zoom party. It might be a live party, but we got to be real careful. So everybody's going to be wearing a mask anyway, but I might have some photos to post from Day of the Dead, so that could be really fun. If you've seen those photos, it's like a white face and dark around the eyes and kind of sewed up lips and things. And what we're supposed to be doing is honor those that have passed away, right? The Day of the Dead. You honor those that have died, and everybody knows relatives and folks that have died. So it's an honorable holiday, I think, and it comes around the same time as Halloween. So I will actually be doing that this Friday, so that'll be a lot of fun. Cool? Hey, I hope all you guys are staying at home and keeping your social distancing going and wearing a mask and all that good stuff. But every once in a while, when we have to go to the doctors, they'll ask the same silly questions. So they'll go like, okay, Francis, do you feel tired?
Yes.
Do you have a sore throat?
Yes.
Do you have a runny nose?
Yes.
And I go, no, Mom, we can't say yes to those questions because they'll say, I'm sorry, those are types of things that somebody with COVID-19 might have.
But
and you're going to have to sit outside until we need you.
Yes.
So I circle around, drop off Mom, and then she's standing outside the door, and I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? Because they don't even let me in there anymore. It's like, come on, the doctor let me in. We always go in there. We're a team, you know. It's Mike and Fran and Mike in the doctor's office. But, you know, not anymore with COVID-19. It depends on the office. If you ask them, sometimes they'll let you in there, but their policy is to say no because that's kind of typical.
Well, I answered yes because I have allergies.
I know, but allergies during the COVID-19
No, you don't say yes to everything.
is not something you want to talk
Yeah,
about because
yeah.
they're automatically going to assume that you have the symptoms. So
All
anyway,
right.
I just wanted to say that it's a funny thing that we go
Okay.
through. So Mom, no matter how you feel, just say no, 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 and then we
Yeah.
can sit down there and go and see the doctor, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I think Mom wanted to touch on the history of Halloween because Halloween is coming up. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well,
Yeah?
I first wanted Michael to talk about COVID, how it is getting...
COVID-19.
All right,
Mom.
COVID. I used to even call it
COVID-19.
ComEd for a while.
It's not ComEd.
I know.
It's
The
COVID-19
virus.
or
Yes.
coronavirus, or some people just say COVID now,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm getting confused because everybody's got so many things to consider. Schools, do you go, do you don't? And now there's Halloweening. Should you let your kids go or should you keep them home? Like the kids going out should go in a limited area maybe. Outside, strictly. Don't eat the candy. Bring it home to the parents. That's what mine usually did anyway.
Yeah.
But the givers, you have to have everything wrapped. You usually did anyway. But how is to give it to somebody without touching and getting near? So many people are using little tubes at the top of their steps that shoot down
I saw that in
to
the
a
paper.
bag.
The mayor did
Yeah.
that. Was showing me showing us how to give out candy in a tube. And
Yeah.
a little kid comes up there and goes trick or treat, and then she puts a little candy in the tube, and then one little piece of candy comes in the bag, and the kid goes, thank
Yeah.
you. I don't know.
Yeah, or put it in a bowl. But I think what is so amazing about Halloween is the people that have the yards that are decorated to the nth degree.
Oh yeah.
Some of them really go out with like maybe 20 or 50, 20 ghosts just
15
all
or 20.
over, hanging,
more.
graveyards, lights, music.
Oh yeah, there's some that light up. They have
Yeah.
music. You can drive by. 'em.
Yeah.
You can turn on the radio, like
Yeah.
89.9, and
Yeah.
listen to the music. And oh my god,
Right.
Now it's pretty crazy.
As a teacher, for many years, Halloween was the least meaningful as far as the history of the meaning to me. But we had the best art projects.
Oh yeah.
We loved to do the spiders and the stretch black cats and the pumpkins and the decorations. And kids loved it, best of all, because they just loved to dress up. And if it was good weather, we were so happy to be able to go outside and not have to wear too heavy a coat to cover up your outfits. Or we paraded through the whole school. But what was fun was that the kids everybody was excited about it. And they got an hour and a half for the ones that went home with extra time to go home and get dressed. Or the ones that ate lunch there, we helped them get dressed. And you always kept a couple of sheets in there or old jackets and a hat for a kid that didn't have a costume.
Oh, right.
Because
right.
invariably, for some reasons, you would get one or two that didn't. And you made sure that everybody was covered in the costume.
I could remember
Yeah.
at least one time that I had like some like vampire long fingernails on my hand one time, and then sometimes we would have like McDonald's, that we would
Yes.
order, and I couldn't eat it. I was trying to eat it with those things on, and I couldn't.
Yes. Yes.
And I had to take them off.
I remember dressing up. Of course, every teacher at one time or another had to be a witch. I was once a sailor, wore my husband's sailor shirt, jacket. I was a bag lady. I was a lady with a stuffed partner. I had a partner that was stuffed, that big as I was, and I danced with in a suit.
Oh wow!
But my best was 007's mom. I had a big trench coat, and I had a blonde wig and a slouch hat, and I had my walkie-talkie and my net stockings. I liked that one about
That
the
sounds
best
like a
of all.
great costume, Mom.
Yes, it was.
I barely remember it. I'm sure you have pictures of it somewhere.
Oh, way, way back.
I remember dressing up as it must have been like a hobo or something like that. And I had this big old striped shirt on and some baggy pants, and I stuffed all these pillows in my belly and my butt, and the butt was like hanging way down, and it was real kind of round and dragging down towards the floor. And I don't know, I was a little kid, and I remember going over to Mr. Wendis's house with my friend Michael Wendis across the street, and he had a little 8mm film camera, and he took a movie of us, and my little butt was dragging around so far to the ground that I remember when I turned around, he couldn't stop laughing. He was laughing so hard, and we played it back a few times. I would love to see that film someday if you still had it. That would be hilarious.
Well, you kids were pirates and Mickey Mouse and Cupid dolls and everything.
Well, wasn't there some mask from like the Munsters or Addams Family?
Well,
or
that was
like
the funniest. Linda, my eldest daughter, was Lurch.
Oh, that's right.
Who would ever be Lurch? She was Lurch from the Addams Family. I mean, we used to tease her for years about, you were Lurch, you kids would tease her.
Yeah, but as I remember, is she was scared of that mask.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So I would go grab the mask and run around with it, and it would scare the heck out of her just to see the mask.
Yeah. Well, it was always a fun thing for the students in school and for you kids.
So if you guys don't know, Southern Illinois University used to be famous for their annual Halloween party. And students would come around from all around the area to go to Carbondale for Halloween. It was just like, a whole weekend of mayhem, of everybody dressing up and getting crazy. And the streets were just packed, wall to wall, people dressed in costume, having a great time. So when I was down there, a lot of my friends from Elk Grove Village would come down there and get crazy, and we'd go canoeing and Giant City and, see all the beautiful rocks and formations and things that are down there in Southern Illinois University, because being in Illinois, you think it's so flat until you get down to Southern Illinois University, and you have to actually see rocks and hills and things like that, which is pretty cool. So I was usually like maybe a pirate or a vampire with my brother a couple times for Halloween, or maybe a ninja fighter or something like that. But so you never experienced Halloween until you've been to Carbondale for Halloween. Now, they tried to make money on it after that, and they tried to shut it down. I don't know what's going on there now. I'd be very curious, but at one time it was like the biggest party around, and everybody had to go to it. I wanted to mention one other thing about Halloween. When I was in Georgia working as an engineer, and I was only there for like 2.5 years, and I knew I was coming back home, sometime soon. And it was getting to a point where I was living in this little town of Warner Robins, Georgia, just south of Macon. And it was a smaller town. It was kind of a town where a lot of the Air Force kids or Air Force brats would live. So they'd live there for a while and then leave. But most of the regular folks there would show up at, I guess it was like, sort of a Baptist church every 2 blocks down there in Georgia. And then every 3 blocks was like a strip bar. So I don't know how that kind of went along with day-to-day life down there. But you would see people there eventually, and you show up there and you see people that you wouldn't expect there, but it was kind of interesting. So I'm down there going to a Halloween party one time, and being in Georgia and driving a car without any snow or frost or anything, you could drive a car easily all year round with bald tires. You don't need any threads on them. You don't need to put a penny in there and see if Lincoln's head disappears, because it's already disappeared. It's gone. There's no tread on those tires. So I'm driving to a party. I think I was dressed as a pirate, and I'm cruising along, and there's a stop sign there, and I stop, and it was a little bit like frosty out there, and sure enough, bam, right in the back, and I'm like, oh man, what's going on? So I get out of my pirate costume, and then this clown gets out of this car. And I go, oh no, look at this guy. What a clown. He doesn't even know how to drive. And I go, you okay, buddy? He goes, yeah, but I don't know. I go, you got to watch the brakes. You know, it's a little slick out here. You got to put the brakes on before you want to stop because it's a little slick. You know what I mean? Let's try it next time, and you might like it. So, it wasn't any damage. It was an older car. I said, okay, fine. Just be careful, please, please. And he got in his car, and I go to the party, and I'm telling these people, I'm going, yeah, oh man, you guys look great. But I gotta tell you what happened on the way here tonight. This freaking idiot clown rammed in the back of my car. Doesn't know how to stop. Nobody knows how to drive. It's not even any snow. If you guys were in Chicago, you'd be dead. You'd be like sitting off the side of the road, or you wouldn't even go out. You would just stay home until the snow disappeared. This idiot clown backed into me, rear-ended me. And at a stop sign, and I'm like, oh my God, what an idiot. And then I turn around, and there he is at the party. The clown was at the same party. So what did that tell me? That told me, Michael, Warner Robins is too small of a town for you. Go home, and go home quickly. And I did shortly after that. Anyway, that's my silly Halloween story in Georgia. How you like that, Mom? Huh?
Well,
that's
I think
true.
that would be a surprise to the clown and you.
I couldn't believe it. I'm
Yeah.
like, that idiot, there he was at the
Yeah.
same party. I'm like, this town's not even big enough to have two parties for Halloween. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck's going on? All right, so Mom, you wanted to talk about
I wanted to
some
talk
of the history?
about how it began.
Okay, let's hear that.
It was a pre-Christian in the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, where would all light up bonfires and wear costumes to ward off the ghosts. It evolved over time to trick-or-treating, carving jack-o'-lanterns, festive gatherings, donning costumes, and eating treats. Now, October 31st night, the Celts lived 2,000 years ago in an area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France. They believed dead returned to Earth on October 31st. Halloween, as known today, became popular in the 1930s. Before pumpkins, the Irish chiseled creepy faces into turnips. Jack-o'-lantern comes from the Irish folk tale about a man called Stingy Jack. Now, Irish immigrants brought trick-or-treating to America, home of the pumpkin. There is a town in the United States, I think it's pronounced Anoka, A-N-O-K-A, Minnesota, that in the 30s, they became the first city in the U.S. to really have a Halloween celebration.
Is that right?
To devote time to having parades, parties, and that took away from all the pranks because trick or treat really means if you don't get the treat, you get a trick.
Oh.
And in this city, the cows were on the streets, they were soaping the windows, they were flipping the outhouses over, so they decided to start having parades and parties. And these gathered there, and in fact, I think 1937, one 12-year-old Harvard, I think Blair from Minnesota, went there with a shirt to show that they were the town doing this. Anoka, Minnesota, 1937.
Really?
And lastly, this celebration has a lot to do with the Bible. Christians would honor saints and spiritual connections between heaven and earth during All Saints' Day. Halloween inspired by night before All Hallows' Eve. The harvest time was that time of the year, which meant earlier nights, colder temperatures, and difficulty in sustaining food, especially in the Middle Ages. So dark always came around, death came around the corner, and the spirits said to feel were roaming around during October because it was the spooky and ghostly time of the year.
Wow.
So there's a lot of reasons, and I always used to think that, what is Halloween? You just dress up?
Yeah.
To me, it didn't
Right.
have that
Right.
much meaning. And yet I see it was done and started by the Celts like 2,000 years ago.
But it's also international too, so other
Yes.
countries celebrate Halloween too, right?
That is correct.
It's not like Thanksgiving or
Yeah.
something like that, where,
Yeah.
where maybe we are the
Correct.
only ones that
Right.
celebrate that.
Right.
And the Hispanic community celebrates, I guess, as the Day of the Dead is
Yeah.
what they call it,
That's right.
and they all get dressed up with that.
Yes.
And I probably will do that next Friday. So can you take a picture of me with my face all made up on Friday, and we can post it?
All
Can you do
right.
that?
Yes.
Okay, great. All
I
right.
will try.
Okay. So, it's election year. I know everybody is going to vote. I'm going to vote. Mom's going to vote. You guys are all going to vote.
I've
It's-
already voted.
You've already voted. So, here's a question for you, Mom. Who did you vote for the 2020 presidential election?
Who I felt would be the most honest, best candidate in my eyes.
Right. It's a good answer. Good answer.
And what you have.
I will vote on November 3rd. I want to actually see my ballot go into the box. I think that's important. And I think there are some qualities that I'm going to look for in a candidate. I mean, everybody knows that this is probably the most important election year in a long, long time, with all the controversy going on between the two parties running for office. And we have to make sure that everybody gets their say-so on who the next president is going to be. That's very important. Okay?
Well, you shouldn't complain if you don't vote.
That's right.
But you vote for
One
it.
of my friends would say, if you don't vote, that means my vote counts for more, or something like that. I mean, that's kind of true. But
Yeah.
but you just have to vote and voice your opinion, and let the majority of people decide who the next president is going to be, and let's hope that that's the right decision. And that's all that I'm going to say about that. But I am going to say that I would vote for somebody that considers health care a right for everybody to have. So everybody needs to have good health care. We need to take care of the environment. I do believe in global warming. I think it's a problem. We need to make sure that, the ozone is taken care of for our
Layer,
children
yeah.
and our grandchildren, so that the Earth is not getting so warm that it's going to have a catastrophic weather ongoing for the rest of our lives. I mean, look at this last year with all the hurricanes and things. It's just crazy.
And it will get worse.
And the fires, I mean, that wasn't all because of neglect, I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the environment. So we need to pay more attention to global warming and to stop it, and have,
Try to stop
like,
it.
like zero carbon emissions by,
Yes.
I don't know, 2025 or something like that. But that needs to be stepped up. And I also believe in having a very generous policy for asylum for refugees, and welcome them and have a process for
Yeah.
them becoming American citizens. I think that needs to be, a clear sort of a process for people coming into our country. And what else? Oh, well, of course, I want to combat racial injustice and work for peace for everyone, whether they're black or white or,
Yeah.
or yellow or purple or whatever. I'm just tired of all this tension out there. I mean, if we could just give everybody the benefit of the doubt and let them ride on their own laurels, I think the world would be a better place. Just to say it plainly. Okay? So that kind of answers the question that we've had here for a little while. What qualities do you look for in a great president or vice president? So I think we kind of answered that. But did you know that there were a number of women that have sought the office of presidency in the U.S.? Mom's going to talk about that a little bit. This is very interesting.
Well, it's amazing. There were 50 women that have sought the presidency. Of course, a lot of these were in small parties that you never heard of or did, and then they dissipated. In 1872, Victoria Woodhull, under the Equal Rights Party, ran for the presidency. She ran and had a man, Frederick Douglass, who was supposed to be the vice president, abolitionist, but you didn't know if they were really connected that close. The second one in 1884 was Belva Lockwood,
Who?
and she was a lawyer. Lockwood. She was a lawyer, and she was the National Equal Rights Party. And those were our first two. Now, there were other ones that came along by 1920. I think I do remember Laura Clay. I remember Margaret Chase Smith in 1964. In 1968, Charlene Miller was from the American Communist Party, and she was the first black woman to ever go for the presidency. And in 1980, we have a Native American, LaDonna Harris, with the Citizens Party. And of course, Hillary Clinton, we all know, ran recently. But I just want to go back to talk about this Victoria Woodhull from Ohio. She was 7 of 10 children. She supported women's suffrage and equal rights, and her running mate, I said, was that Frederick Douglass. She was born in 1828 and died in England in 1927, the year I was born, had 2 children.
Wow.
She was, and her sister were very bright. Her sister's name was Tennessee, and they were the first women brokerage in Wall Street. They had a weekly newspaper, and they were activists. They were very much out with free love and not marriage, a lot of different things.
Wow.
They were mediums and spiritualists.
Interesting.
And she was born Catherine, and she married Woodhull, then Blood, and then an Englishman, Martin, in 1883. The sister and she, I said, were spiritualists, and they were little people under the wing of Carnegie. He kind of helped them along. They had a few problems, though, and moved to England, and she was the first woman that Victoria, Chafflin, Woodhull, Blood, Martin to run for presidency.
Very interesting, Mom. Very interesting. Okay, so I have something else to add to that. What president's wife became president? Ooh, more on this next week. Goodbye. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, I would have guessed somebody.
Okay, so it says here that Edith Bowling Gate Wilson was second
Yep.
wife of 28th President Woodrow Wilson.
Yep.
She served as First Lady from
Yep.
1915 to 1921. After the president suffered a severe stroke, she pre-screened all matters of state,
Yep, I knew that.
functionally running the executive branch of the government for the remainder of Wilson's second term. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I knew
isn't it?
that one.
You knew that one. Okay, how about this one?
I didn't.
Which president had 2 wives? Well, they say that Presidents John Tyler and Woodrow Wilson had 2 official first ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Both remarried during their presidential tenures.
Mm-hmm.
And then, has there ever been a president without a wife? Yeah, James Buchanan.
Yeah, he was.
He
a
was the
bachelor.
15th president of the United States from 1857 to 1861, served immediately prior to the American Civil War. Tall, stately, stiffly formal in the high stock he wore around his jowls. Oh
His
my
neck.
God.
Yeah.
Around his neck. So he wore some kind of a high
Collar.
Mm-hmm. Okay. James Buchanan was the only president who never married. Very interesting. Another fact is a young lady by the name of Harriet Lane acted as hostess for the only president who never married, James Buchanan, her favorite uncle and her guardian after she was orphaned after the age of 11. Here's a question. Why is the president's wife called First Lady? Well, I'm glad you asked. The title first gained nationwide recognition in 1877 when newspaper journalist Mary C. Ames referred to Lucy Webb Hayes as the First Lady of the land while reporting on the inauguration of Rutherford B. Hayes. The frequent reporting on Lucy Hayes' activities helped spread use of the title outside Washington. Very cool.
And the longest living first lady was Bess Truman, Harry Truman's wife.
Wow. So that's about it. See you guys next week. Have a happy Halloween.
And don't forget to vote.
Be careful out there. Goodbye for now.
Absolutely.